Have you ever noticed it's always the same type of people? The ones who come into your life fast, make you feel special, and then slowly drain everything out of you. At first, they admire you. They say you're different. They say you understand them like no one else. And you believe it, because you do understand them. But later, they stop appreciating you. They start taking you for granted. They give less while you give more. And somehow, you're the one left confused, wondering, why does this keep happening to me? This is not random. This is a pattern. And if you don't understand it, you will repeat it again and again. Because being an empath is not just about feeling deeply. It's about attracting deeply broken people too. Think about this. When someone is emotionally empty, they look for a source. Someone who can give them attention. Someone who can give them validation. Someone who can fill the void inside them. And when they meet you, they feel something they haven't felt in a long time. Peace. But instead of protecting that connection, they start depending on it. And dependence slowly turns into control. They test your limits. Small things at fire. Saints. They cancel plans. They ignore messages. They change behavior. And you notice it. But you don't react. Because you don't want conflict. You don't want to lose them. So you stay silent. And that silence teaches them something very dangerous. That they can cross your boundaries and you will still stay. Now the pattern becomes stronger. They give you just enough attention to keep you attached, and just enough distance to keep you chasing. This is where emotional confusion begins. You start overthinking. Did I do something wrong? Why are they acting like this? Maybe I need to try harder, and without realizing, you start blaming yourself for their behavior. This is how empaths slowly get trapped. Not because they are weak, but because they are too understanding. Let's go deeper. Most empaths have one hidden belief. If I love enough, they will change. This belief feels beautiful, but it's dangerous because it keeps you investing in people who are not investing in you. You start giving more time, more energy, more patience. Hoping one day they will finally become the person you saw in them. But that version only existed in your mind. And the longer you hold on to that illusion, the more reality hurts. Now here's something most people don't talk about. Empaths don't just attract toxic people. They sometimes feel connected to them. Why? Because chaos feels familiar. If you've ever experienced emotional ups and downs before, your mind starts recognizing that pattern as normal. So when someone gives you mixed signals, it doesn't feel wrong. It feels familiar. And familiarity feels like comfort, even when it hurts. This is why calm, healthy people can sometimes feel boring to empaths, because there's no chaos, no confusion, no emotional roller coaster. But that's actually what real connection looks like. Stable, consistent, peaceful, not intense, then distant, not loving, then cold, just real. Now ask yourself something honestly. How many times have you ignored your own feelings just to keep someone else happy? How many times have you stayed quiet when something bothered you? How many times have you given second chances, third chances, even when nothing changed? At some point, you have to realize something. Your kindness is not the problem. Your lack of boundaries is, because without kindness becomes self-destruction. People will take as much as you allow. And if you don't set limits, they won't set them for you. This is where your power starts. The moment you stop over-explaining yourself. The moment you stop trying to be understood by everyone. The moment you realize not everyone deserves access to you. You don't need to fix everyone. You don't need to save everyone. You don't need to stay where you're not valued. Walking away is not weakness. It's self-respect. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable at first because you're not used to choosing yourself. But that discomfort is growth. You also need to change one important habit. Stop ignoring your intuition. That quiet feeling inside you, that tells you something is off, that's your inner warning system. It notices things your mind tries to justify. It sees patterns before they become pain. But every time you ignore it, you move closer to the same outcome. So start trusting it. Even if it doesn't make logical sense, because most of the time, it's right. Another shift you need to make is this. Stop falling in love with potential. Potential is not reality. Potential is imaginative, action. And building a relationship on imagination will always lead to disappointment. Choose people based on who they are today, not who they might become tomorrow. Because real love doesn't need fixing. It doesn't need constant effort to feel stable. It doesn't leave you questioning your worth. It supports you, respects you, values you, without confusion. And once you experience that, you'll realize something powerful. You were never asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong person. Being an empath is a rare gift, but only when it is protected. Otherwise, it becomes a burden. So protect your energy, protect your time, protect your peace. Not everyone deserves your softness. Not everyone deserves your understanding. And definitely, not everyone deserves your heart. Because at the end of the day, you don't attract the wrong people because something is wrong with you. You attract them because your light is strong, because your energy is genuine, because your heart is open. But now, it's your responsibility to decide who is allowed to stay and who is not. Because your peace is more important than being needed. And once you truly understand that you will stop chasing connection and start choosing it. And even after everything you've been through, there's still a part of you that asks, what if this time is different? That question keeps you stuck longer than you realize. Because every time someone new enters your life, you don't just see them. You see a new chance, a new story, a new possibility. And without noticing, you start giving them the same energy you gave to the last person. You trust fast. You open up quickly. You invest early. Not because you're careless, but because your heart is always ready to connect. But here's the hard truth. Connection without boundaries always leads to the same ending. Different person. Same pain. And the reason is simple. You haven't changed the pattern. You've only changed the person. Take a moment and think about this. Do people in your life earn your trust? Or do you give it away for free? Because empaths often confuse kindness with access. You can be a good person without giving everyone a front row seat in your life. Not everyone needs to know your story. Not everyone deserves your vulnerability. Real connection takes time. But when you you skip the most important step. Observation. You don't give yourself time to see who they really are. You only see how they make you feel in the moment. And feelings can be misleading, especially when someone knows how to create them. Some people are not naturally deep. They just know how to act deep. They mirror your energy. They say the right things. They create a sense of closeness very quickly. And for an empath, that feels real. But it's not always genuine. It's strategy. And once they know you're attached, they change. Slowly, subtly, almost unnoticeable at first. The effort drops. The attention fades. The consistency disappears. And now, you're left trying to get back the version of them that never truly existed. This is where you lose control. Because now, you're emotionally invested. And walking away feels harder than staying and hoping. But hope can be dangerous when it's attached to the wrong person. Because hope keeps you waiting. Hope keeps you forgiving. Hope keeps you stuck. At some point, you have to replace hope with clarity. You have to stop asking, what could this become? And start asking, what is this right now? Because reality will always tell you the truth. If someone respects you, you'll feel it. If someone values you, you'll see it. If someone cares, you won't have to question it. Confusion is not love. Mixed signals are not love. Emotional instability is not love. These are signs that something is not right. But for an empath, these signs often get ignored. Because you don't want to believe that someone who once felt so right can actually be wrong for you. So instead of leaving, you try harder. You give more. You become more patient, more understanding, more forgiving. Until one day, you're completely exhausted. Not because you love too much, but because you love someone who didn't know how to love you back. And this is where your real awakening begins. The moment you realize love should not feel like constant effort. It should not feel like chasing. It should not feel like proving your worth. Real love feels safe, not perfect, but safe. There's no fear of losing the person every time something goes wrong. There's no anxiety about where you stand. There's no need to overthink every small detail. Just calm, just clarity, just consistency. And once you experience that, you will never accept confusion again. But before you reach that point, you have to go through a shift. a shift in how you see yourself. Because the biggest mistake empaths make is this: they see their value through how much they can give, how much they can help, how much they can heal. But your value is not based on how much you sacrifice. You are valuable even when you do nothing for others, even when you say no, even when you walk away. And this is the mindset that changes everything. When you stop trying to be needed and start choosing to be respected. Because being needed can trap you, but being respected protects you. Now imagine this version of yourself. You still care. You still understand people. You still have that deep emotional awareness. But now you have standards. Now you observe before you invest. Now you listen to your intuition instead of ignoring it. Now you walk away at the first sign of disrespect instead of waiting for it to get worse. That version of you doesn't attract the same people anymore because your energy has changed. And when your energy changes, your patterns change. And when your earns change, your life changes. This is how you break the cycle. Not by closing your heart, but by protecting it. Not by becoming cold, but by becoming aware. Because the goal is not to stop being an empath. The goal is to become a strong one. An empath who knows when to give and when to step back. An empath who understands others but doesn't lose themselves in the process. An empath who can love deeply without tolerating disrespect. Because at the end of the day, your gift was never the problem. Your heart was never the problem. The only thing that needed to change was how you use it. So the next time someone enters your life, don't rush. Don't overgive. Don't ignore what you feel. Take your time. Watch their actions. Not just their words. Feel their consistency. Not just their intensity. And most importantly, watch how they treat you when there's nothing to gain. Because that's who they really are. And once you start seeing clearly, you'll stop attracting the wrong people. Not because they disappear, but because you no longer entertain them. And that is real power. Because your life changes the moment you stop asking, why do I attract the wrong people? And start saying, I choose who stays in my life. And when you truly reach that point, you don't just protect your peace, you become it.